should be right. Hello. Hello. Anyone is online? Can communicate with us. So kindly post your queries as soon as possible. Okay. If I would like to pass. Hello. Yeah, Partho Saruthi Deb. Okay. Whether product drawing will be there in exam? No. Achut Khire. So you had a query, and I have suggested you regarding this instructional packaging for pharmaceutical industry. Okay. So you asked, but this feature didn't pick up the grip yet. Any speculation? Could you please elaborate your question? I mean, what, in which direction you need guidance and all? Okay. Um, so in graphic design, there are this instructional packaging actually comes under graphic design part, communication design part. So there are few design schools where these things are taught. So you can follow, or you can take admission. Okay, you can discuss with people who are associated to that field. All right.
Yeah, so Achyut, if I understand your question correctly, you want to know, I think you want to explore or know how instructional design for pharma and medical device products are done. So I can suggest you, see, if you see this course, it emphasizes on user study, you know. So if you are going for this kind of brief, if you have this kind of brief, the fundamental question is, who are your user categories or targets? Now, once you identify your targets, the next question is, what are the requirements they have? Now, what are the issues they face with the existing products? Now, if these things are demarched or identified very clearly, then the next step is only to um, to design features or cues based on the requirements that you have identified. So you can follow, as Professor Supradeep Das has said, you can follow graphic design rules in devising your strategies and designing the packages accordingly. But the root or the basis of your design would be from the user studies requirements that you have gathered from in-depth analysis of user requirements.
Anyone else online can post their question.
Yeah, so Anshut, I can read your reply where you said, okay, I got the point, because in my case, user could be surgeon or nursing staff or a regular patient. It's case to case decision. Thanks for saying. Yeah, I think you got it correctly. If it is your patient, and if it's an elderly patient, you can understand their requirements, capture their requirements, define them, and then convert your requirements or whatever insights that you have generated into design decisions. That's correct. Ishan Kashyap. So we have a new question. Sir, how important is typography in designing? See, Ishan, typography comes in the visual domain. And according to research that have been done until now, the first level of engagement of a user with any type of products happens at the visual domain. So in the visual domain, you have a lot of elements. You have illustrations, you have typefaces, then you have the combination of various elements of visual elements, illustrations, coming up with posters. So if each one of them has a very, very distinctive role to play in affecting users' attention and as I said, the first level of engagement, whether they would like the product or not, whether they would continue inquiring further about the product in order to buy it or reject it, depends on that level of engagement. So therefore, typography along with other design elements plays a very, very important role in establishing that connection at the very first level when a product is viewed by a customer or a user.
Hello Vignesh. Hello Yogesh. So Parthasarathi has one more query. Is it always true that abundance create confusion in case of design decision, or whether sometimes they give us more opportunity?
Yeah, Parthasarathi, can you just elaborate what do you mean by abundance? Because abundance can be interpreted in terms of number of concepts that a person, a designer can generate, or abundance in terms of the amount of data the person has gathered from user study. So which type of abundance are you specifically referring to? If you can tell us that, I think we can answer that more specifically. So Ishan Kashyap, okay, thanks for the answer, sir. Is there any upcoming workshop or events on typography in IIT Guwahati in near future? Yes, Ishan, we do have regular workshop and small sessions on visual communication, including typography. Kindly refer to our web page regularly, and you will get an update about these kind of workshops that would be happening in the future. Okay, Parthasarathi, yeah, abundance in data and probable options in materials, concepts, etc. See, so data again, I said there are two types. I mean, you are talking about materials, and then the other type is concepts. Abundance in concepts actually allows you to have a very rich final concept, because if you have gone through the course, you might have observed that we have this stage called concept evaluation. So each of your concept is based specifically on a particular attribute which is very strong. Now, not all concepts are equivalent in nature. So, therefore, you can adopt multiple styles of testing it with users. You can have each of them test with users, or you can primarily collect all the important features from all of your concepts and combine them to have a product. There are multiple approaches for doing this. So, therefore, multiple concepts always allows you to have a very rich final product for the market. And we definitely, while we teach these courses, we emphasize always on having multiple concepts. Multiple concepts means, I can tell you, students in IIT Guwahati many a time come up with concepts of more than 20 concepts, more than 30 concepts, and from there they try to select one or two, and then they further proceed for the next level of the design process. In terms of materials, obviously, because for example, if you can identify many materials, each one of them would have specific features, characteristics, and each one of them would give you triggers of probable concepts that might be employed by the designer to solve that particular issue or requirement. So, abundance in terms of materials and concepts always supports the designers in taking a very fruitful, informed, and quality based design decision in terms of having a product that is highly enriched and addresses the issues of the user in from multiple fronts or ways. Supradeep, would you like to add? Yeah. Ishan, sir, can I ask questions other than course program? I think we would limit this to the course only. I think you have our email IDs in the courses. If you have any other questions, you can drop mails to us. Achyut, after developing product design, what should be preferred? Industrial design registration or a regular patent? Because intellectual property is also important part of product development as well as innovation. Absolutely. I think we also prefer that after any successful design process is carried out and testing is done. If the results are desirable, suitable, we go for patent registration. I think Supradeep can elaborate more on that.
See, there are two things, right? What you mentioned, industrial design registration, another is regular patent. So patent is more or less, I mean, it is to protect how your product functions and overall features of the product. Okay, so in design registration, you are protecting actually the form, the unique form feature. Okay, so one is functional feature, another is form feature. So in design registration is also important, and regular patent is also important. If you think that your product has a very specific form and that is affecting the function as well, you should go ahead with design registration as well, along with the regular patent. Anyone is online, please post your queries. Okay, then we'll address this. Ishan, see, we are in this. This is not a correct forum to discuss about seed. Okay, so maybe in other forum, or maybe through, as Debayan sir told, you send us email. We can guide you regarding seed. Okay. Okay. I think very few people are online and they don't have much queries. So, is it okay to conclude? Okay. Hello, Sachin. Hello, Sangeeta. If you have any query, please tell us. Partha. Okay, so this is a pertinent question. What you have, all Novice designer has this kind of query. Okay, so to address this, in IIT Guwahati, we have developed a tool through which systematically one can, Novice designer can refer the product and material. They can, I mean, based on the product form, what kind of material should be the ideal. So that tool suggests the Novice designer. So, however, if no one, I mean, someone do not have this tool, they can always do trial and error. Sangeeta, we are not discussing any matter related to seed, okay, in this platform. So if you have any query related to seed, you discuss through mail or any other way, okay. Would you like to address this space constraint while designing a product?
Yeah, Ishan, can you explain on what do you mean by space constraints? Like you post a question on how to overcome space constraints while designing a product. Parthasarathi, okay, sir, but if in case I wish to work on that tool, what will be the procedure? So, Parthasarathi, apart from what Suprativ sir has said, there are also similar kind of tools. You need to read research papers and literatures and refer them. And I'm sure you would be able to have an idea of the kind of tools to use for your purpose. Okay, Achut, can you suggest a case study for industrial design as well as patent for a single product, maybe from non-medical background?
They should search Google patent and all this.
Yeah, I think Achut, it is very difficult right now to talk about any particular case study because there's a lot of case patents. If you go for Google search for only patents, you would be able to identify the products, the processes, the concepts which have been given a patent on that. Primarily in India, it is still a very initial period where people are getting conscious about filing a patent for products. In our department, we generally do it, but these majority of the patents are in process, so we can't discuss many things in public. But definitely, I mean, if you refer to our web page of IIT Guwahati, you would come to know about the works and the products that have been patented from our department and the works of our students that have been patented.
Conclude.
Oh, his question is still open, no?
Who?
Space.
Oh, space question.
Parthasarathi, sir, whether it will be wise to protect an idea by filing design patent or should we work to prototype designing first? See, again, when you are prototyping, it is very close confidential, it remains close confidential with you. But if you feel that the prototype has to be tested and developed and to be used in a public space where people are informed, there are similar design teams involved, so therefore you can take a wise decision to go for concept patent first. You can go for the patenting the concept as well first and then move towards prototyping and testing it with us. Both ways can be it can work. Now it all depends on the nature of the concept and the product and the team or the people with whom you are going for testing. Okay.
Another part is when you are prototyping, you are getting into the detail of the product. Okay, so it helps you to in the patenting process also. So suppose you have not worked in detail about the product, you have just the concept. Okay, you can go ahead for patenting, but in future if somebody is claiming that I am designing the product in different way. The features, the internal features and everything are different. The way it functions, it is different. Then you cannot stop. Okay, so what is the principle of the product, and what the material, how it is working, and the detail of the product you will understand after prototyping only. So prototype helps in this way.
Ishan, yeah, so I can understand now. So limited space, always supports if you focus to the content where we talked about working with force constraints. Now the idea is when you are barred from thinking in a particular direction, your mind tends to always initially first go to those directions, and then when you force it not to think in those directions, then it probably ventures into an area where it comes up with much more richer concepts, right? So therefore working with force constraints always supports coming up with very very creative solutions, right? So therefore whenever you have a design brief and you have completed the stages of the design process, when you come down to the concept generation stage, always keep in mind you can identify some of the very very initial general concepts that you think might be well available in the market, or many people can think in those directions. You can identify those concepts and keep them as things which you will not refer henceforth, and from that stage you can start thinking of ideas that are much more different from what initial ideas you were getting. So therefore working with force constraints or limited space actually allows you to come with much more deeper and very enriched and elaborate concepts that actually work in the ground, right? So your question, like suppose while designing a food truck the space is limited, so how is that designed? Like in limited space every requirement is fulfilled. So therefore see it, the answer can be observed from multiple ways. If the space is limited, probably the other requirements can also be toned down to some extent, but still you can provide those requirements, so it is not necessary that if one parameter is reduced, rest of the parameters can also remain fixed. It can be reduced to some extent, and then still you work with those constraints, right?
What is his name? Ishan, there is one. So I suggest you to go ahead, go to Google Scholar and search for design heuristics. Okay, there are paper on design heuristics where people are discussing about how design heuristics are helping them for idea generation. Okay, so there is something called design heuristic card. Okay, where one researcher is suggesting 77 ideation card through which someone can ideate. Okay, so go through that research paper and it may help you in ideation. Okay, so the kind of problems you are throwing to us, so you can solve all those, using that heuristic cards.
Design heuristics. Yeah. Parthasarathi, so see, design heuristics is interpreted in different ways by different groups of designers. For example, product design, visual design, communication, they often refer to design heuristics or with gestalts, gestalt principles and other principles related to form, material choice, selection, all these things. For example, if you come down to HCI or human computer interaction design, Norman and Nielsen's heuristic evaluation or the principles of heuristics are referred to as the design heuristics. So it all depends on the nature of the product or the area in which the product design is being envisaged. Nevertheless, design heuristics are the thumb rules that guides you, that guides a product to or allows it to become error free or addresses issues that the user would accept or adopt. For example, if you think about Gestalt principles. So Gestalt principles supports the idea how our brain or functions, or how do we perceive a particular form and its meaning, right? So therefore, using those principles, we can design the visual part of the product or the form attributes of the product in a way that it becomes interesting or it becomes much more engaging with the end user. So design heuristic supports you in overcoming these issues at the first level, and then once you adopt design heuristics and design accordingly, then you can go for detailed user study, right? I think Supratim would like to add to it.
So when it comes to concept generation, design heuristics are also considered as the cues, okay, which will guide you to generate ideas. And these cues are identified studying successful designs, okay. So what kind of, I mean, studying successful design, so researchers found some kind of a pattern, okay. So from those patterns, so they suggested some method to design, okay, to generate ideas. One common, I mean, renowned design heuristic for ideation is trees, okay, you may know. So there are other also. Trees is very functional, and it has a few limitations, but beyond that there are also many other product design heuristics. You should search in Google Scholar, you will find many literature related to it, okay. Okay, so we are concluding the session. Thank you.